Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of a gaming podcast, episode 85. Steve, our backs gonna be sore here. We gotta do a lot of carrying here today. It's just you.
Oof.
It was a long weekend. People happen to
I
get
know.
lost on their way back home, or I don't know what's going on.
But
It's
it must be really nice getting a 3-day weekend and then be
yeah,
like, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do the
yeah.
podcast because I'm so sleepy.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
I'm
so
so
tired.
tired. I'm
I need a few more
tired.
days after my vacation.
Yeah,
Too
what are we
much.
doing?
What's happening here?
Yeah.
I know it's a nice sunny day and everything, but we have phones. Then what was his face that said that? Was that the Gearbox guy? Don't you all have phones?
Yeah. What? Wasn't it Blizzard?
Someone said I can't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
now.
yeah. The
Whatever.
Diablo
Gearbox,
Immortals or
Blizzard,
whatever.
they're all
Yeah, yeah.
meshing together at this point. Some guy. Don't you have phones?
Absolutely.
It's crazy. But how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm yeah, coming off the long weekend, feeling energized, feeling refreshed. I mean, it
Oh
feels like
yeah,
a really exciting time for the games industry as a whole.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're weeks away from Summer Game Fest, days away at this point from Switch 2.
Oh, I can't believe this.
It's sneaking up, right?
It doesn't feel real. It honestly doesn't feel like it's coming up. 'Cause I think maybe it's due to the fact that it's such a weird time for a console to be coming out. We're so
Yeah,
used to like
totally.
November, and I know Nintendo tried March,
Yep.
so it's really
I
weird. But June, so it makes sense.
I feel like it's also because it's so early on in June
Yeah,
that getting through the rest of May kind of feels like busy work. Like it's not going to hit me really until we get to June 1st and it's like, okay, now we're in the month of Switch. We're
yeah.
days away from Switch 2. Now the official countdown can start. But yeah, I saw a post like even reminded me today where it's like we're 15 days away. I'm like there's no way.
That's
It does not
insane.
feel
That
real.
doesn't feel right at
Yeah.
all. Not at all. So okay, out of curiosity, because for me, I came from the content creation side. Now last couple of years of doing media and everything, I haven't gone through a actual media side console launch. What during this time would you have had? Nintendo already reported that people very slim, probably 1, 2. The
Mm.
IGNs probably I would assume are getting a console like beforehand. Would you by now have received a console by now to like review, talk about at least the games that are coming towards it as well?
It's a bit of
15
a
days
weird
out.
one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like it's a bit of a weird console launch as well because like
yeah,
I'll give you some perspective. So Xbox Series consoles came out, PlayStation 5 consoles came out. It felt like the floodgates kind of opened where, there was a whole bunch of for Xbox anyways, there was a whole bunch of new games. You had like the new Yakuza, you had
yep,
a whole bunch of like Series X enhanced games, stuff like that. For PlayStation, it was, I'm trying to just go through. There was Miles Morales, there was
yeah,
Demon Souls remake, there was I'm blanking on a bunch, but it felt like it was a very content rich
yeah.
launch for both of these games. Nintendo Switch 2 kind of feels different in that it's really just resting on the laurels of Mario Kart World, which I mean, a big game, exciting game. I'm stoked
Yep.
for it. Not taking anything away from that.
And I'll add Cyberpunk as well. They just released 40 minutes of new gameplay for Cyberpunk. That was just strictly switched to content and everything.
Yeah.
That people are you got the YouTube man. The YouTube community is something else. Now they're like, it's better than Steam Deck. It's better than PS5. I'm like, okay, relax, people. Like it's just footage. Like, come on now, what's happening here? Can we all not just enjoy the game?
Well, and I guess that kind of goes into my point is that yeah, the Switch 2 is being rested on Mario Kart World, but then you have a whole bunch of enhancements or the upgrade packs for some of these games.
Yeah,
Whether it's Breath of the Wild, whether you have Mario Party, Jamboree. And it kind of feels like a little bit of a safer launch. It feels like a
yeah,
lot of these games that really do rely on access are coming out later down the road. We got Donkey Kong coming out in July. We have, already announcements for Metroid Prime 4, Kirby, and stuff like that coming down the pipeline. But for launch, it's just kind of this online game, a very great online game. So I'm kind of torn. Whereas like I'm not really too upset that right now I don't have access to the Switch 2
yeah.
and stuff like that because it doesn't really feel like the same kind of launch as PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series. Where to going back to your original question, I would have already had the consoles in my hands. I would have had
Yeah.
time to be testing and playing them and everything. Um, so I kind of understand why people would be kind of upset or a little let down knowing the news that, hey, Switch 2 reviews might not be available leading up to the day. They might come out the day of, or your favorite, creator or media outlet might have their Switch 2 reviews right after launch. But
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
like, and
aside
if
from reviewing the actual hardware, you're only reviewing one major game and probably doing
Mario
a
Kart, yeah,
exactly, and then maybe a roundup of all these different other pieces of software that come out, the upgrade packs
yeah,
and stuff like that.
and I
So
can't imagine Mario Kart taking that long to I guess technically like review in a way. Yes, it will have like I mean there's still a lot of unknown with that game, but like I
right,
would say like 3 days tops, someone will, especially if you tag team it, just cycle through the game, like, oh, it has this mode, it has that or something like that. But
yeah,
besides that, everyone
yeah,
else will be playing the game. You know where you're getting with Mario Kart.
or I also think that it encourages a more ongoing conversation
Yeah.
where, because it's supposed to be such a big game with all these different characters, all these different systems, these modes that we got to play and talk about on the show and everything. I feel like it's almost a better conversation to have, being like, okay, the game's out, we have 24 people now because it's in everyone's hands. Now we're actually seeing the full breadth of this game, because I feel like maybe even to Nintendo's credit, like the reason they might be holding off from getting Switch 2 into people's hands is because they're worried about the media getting their hands on
Influence,
Mario
I
Kart
guess. Yeah.
World and being like, well, oh, I didn't get into this game because of either the servers weren't working or we didn't have
Yeah.
24 players available and everything. It kind of takes away from the fun or the real selling point of what Mario Kart World is. So to that point, maybe that's why they're holding off. I mean, we don't really know. It's all
Yeah, there
speculative.
could also be multiple reasons as well. And now
Exactly.
and like one thing I started thinking about Mario Kart, we can't have a lobby of like they didn't talk about lobbies or anything like that. Can we have can I invite 23 others? Basically, I know they were been so focused on game chat and like
Mm,
like three other people joining in with us. But what like if I'm lucky enough to strangle 23 people, or if I want to run like, am I gonna have to run like a tournament and like use like the tournament code, like the friend codes days, or can I invite 23 people and be like, hey, let's all just do knockout mode, let's drive around. I know 4 people could drive around via game chat, but like never really talk about really anything else, like online lobbies or we have to be getting something soon. I know it's 15 days, but we had to be getting another direct or some information, some tweet or something.
yeah, I don't really know. I mean, it says, just going offline,
Mhm.
4-player split screen multiplayer, which we knew, eight system wireless play, and up to
Yep.
24 players on up to 24 player online modes. But yeah, I don't really. I have to assume that because the modes are already baked in with support for 24 players, there would be the means to invite 23
Yeah,
other
like just
players
so
into
like
your
oh,
lobby.
Steve's on, let me just join his lobby type of thing.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. Whether or not
I remember
you'd be
that's how it
joining. Like,
was before with the other one, the 8, where if I saw you playing, I could just jump in your lobby.
yes.
But like it wasn't, but you didn't personally send me an invite in a way. But I just like, oh, Steve's on, let me just jump his lobby, and then I
Yeah.
could spectate until a spot became available, basically. So
Yeah, but I do wonder if that means that you'll only be able to jump into individual, like, isolated, like, modes or tours and stuff like that, rather than being invited into like the open world.
yeah,
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 I really
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
but I guess we'll find out in
Yeah,
15 days.
very, very true. Actually, I might as well bring up the bonus question. I was for those who know, I was teasing Steve with a bonus
Let's
question
do it.
here, and I just happened to watch a very interesting video how apparently Reggie like predicted this is gonna be the downfall of Nintendo and everything because he had like a I can't remember the exact quote, but basically when they were launching with the Wii system. They were after they learned the mistakes of I guess the mistakes, even though everyone loves the GameCube, but like the GameCube wasn't a huge success as
No.
what they were expected it to be, which will obviously leads towards the Wii, which led them to go to the Wii, and they knew like everything wasn't about power and graphical specs. It's basically like taking risk and
Yeah.
what is fresh and new and everything. And then Reggie said like, yeah, you could keep doing this whole increment of like little increments of updating, like same thing with the iPhone. They're like, oh, we're just this is
Mm,
the fastest iPhone. Yeah, it's 25% faster. Like, okay, thanks, Apple. Thanks for a fresh battery, type of thing. Or a PS4 going to PS5 is just adding more and like more like basically more like a new GPU going in. The same thing with PCs and everything. It's little increments that companies have been doing while Nintendo, they went from Wii to yes, Wii U wasn't really successful. We know that as well because they were also confusing people on it was totally different though, but they were confusing people on like is it just a controller that goes
Yeah,
with it and everything.
the messaging
There's
was
some other
totally
yeah,
off.
the messaging was totally off, which also eventually led to the Switch, brand new way of playing games and everything. But
Yeah.
now this time they are doing what they are saying that like, oh, we take risk and we don't do these small increments, but that will work for now type of thing. That was like the whole Reggie quote. Um, do you think that Nintendo's being too safe with the Switch 2?
No, it's I know, but I
Mhm.
think that they are being safe in the most pragmatic and safe or smart way possible.
Yeah.
Because I feel like had I understand why they wanted to keep, say, the Switch 2 name, the Switch 2 overall design philosophy. They wanted to continue doing the docked and handheld mode. All of that stuff is working for them. They really don't want to replicate what, like you just eloquently said, like the Wii to the Wii U era. They don't want to confuse players. They don't want to consume or confuse regular consumers that may not be in the know like you and me. They want to make it as easy as possible to be like, Switch 2 is a sequel to the Switch 1. It's the same
Yep.
thing, runs the same games, get new games. It's more traditional to a console upgrade and stuff like that. Where I feel like they're not being very safe is more or less from the internals and the hardware innovations, is that we're getting upwards of 4K at 120 hertz, and we're getting the weird mouse controls that only Nintendo would really think to include in their hardware. So I feel like right now we're not seeing a Nintendo that really wants to lag behind in terms of what their games are capable of doing, bringing or limiting the amount of third-party games or what third-party games can look like on the console. In fact,
Yeah.
I feel like they're very aggressive this time, especially with the game chat that we were talking about before, actually having an integrated online experience, having
Yep.
a video chat experience too. I feel like we're in a
Well, that's
good.
old tech though. That's the irony
It
about it.
is
Like that's not like new. It's new for them,
new for
obviously, but
them,
like,
and
but
and
like,
trying to get to a contemporary
yeah,
level. I mean, they're still lagging behind, but at least they're trying. At
yeah, no,
least they're
absolutely,
they're
yeah,
they're absolutely trying in their own Nintendo kind of way. So I can't fault them for that. I feel like if it was way too safe, then it would have been, hey, here's a slightly larger screen. Here's a updated chip, which they are doing. But then
yep,
there's also more. There's the upresing. There's also
yeah,
enhancements. There's also Bluetooth that's baked into it. There's USB-C on top and bottom for
and
charging.
bottom, yeah, that's right,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, like
and
it feels
VRR, which has been confirmed just on the console, not like not in the dock. It's just on the handheld
right.
itself. Maybe an update could come out later for the dock part, but then I don't think people even knows VRR is even on their TVs or anything like that. So it's
That's so true.
it's
I mean,
yeah.
like for
That's a look.
regular consumers, they don't know what
No idea.
upscaling is. They don't care what upscaling is. They
No.
just want their games to just run
Work,
properly, and I think they
honestly.
will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like Nintendo's in a really great spot. I mean, there is the narrative, right now with the pricing and all of that. I feel like they let
Yeah.
that get away from them, but I don't think that they're being very safe. I think that they're being as aggressive as they need to be in the console space right now.
Yeah, like I feel like I agree as well. I don't feel like they're very similar. I feel like this was like the right move for them to do with the console upgrade. They're just sitting a little Nintendo magic I'm missing. Like
Of
obviously
course.
themes is a big thing.
Hmm.
Like they didn't like the Wii didn't have like applications. It was Wii channels, even like from photo gallery to
Yeah.
like weather app. Like I used to run the weather app just for the hell of it. I'm like, let me just leave it on. Like
Sure.
it's nice, good to have weather app music on their Nintendo music app and everything. But like themes obviously with especially with the 3DS side of things, that's a good way to make money. Just like people used to buy those like just using like remainder Nintendo coins that you had. Just buy a little like Smash Brothers 3DS theme if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Even just like the little downloads, like the little like I'm sure you remember like the little balls dropping in a box in the 3DS, and then like it wraps it up for you, and then like, all right,
Oh, sure.
all the stuff you download is a nice little gift box. You're like, wow, like yes, I know I just bought this thing, but I just like the little like details, or you've got notifications, those actual letters. Like here's a letter from Nintendo. they'll like open it up back in the day. Like it's just like those little things. Like and it's just like here you go. You either get like black and like blinding white for your themes color.
Right, like a flashbang just went
Yeah,
off
you're just
in your
like,
goddamn
oh,
house. Yeah.
where's Mario Kart? Damn it, I can't find it.
No,
Just like little
totally.
things like that I miss. Even like, Nintendo eShop music. Like, come on, it's not that hard.
There are obvious W's that Nintendo just loves to overlook. I mean, we talked about on the show again, like
That,
achievements, having like an integrated achievement
come
system.
on.
Um, in hindsight, I mean, granted, now the console is very expensive, but I
Yeah.
was also really disappointed when they announced, we're just doing LCD, we're not doing an OLED. There is that report that just came out. That they're working with Samsung right now to develop their chips, the new upgraded NVIDIA chips, but they're in discussions with Samsung to potentially use their OLED displays if they were to do a refresh on the Switch 2. I would have really rather, pay the extra whatever it is to get an OLED model at launch, but
Yeah.
I understand why they might not want an $800 or $900 Switch 2 on the market.
I mean,
But that's just me.
they're almost forced to do it though.
Yeah.
Like a couple weeks ago. Just saying, but it would have been nice if both of them came like a Mario Kart bundle, but then $100 more was the OLED model, for example, or something like that. I don't know.
Right,
Or whatever,
exactly.
something, But yeah, hopefully they still bring out that little like Nintendo magic, like even I would love to just be like, here's a letter from Nintendo and like notification, or just even like when I remember like transferring stuff from the Wii U, it was Pikmin picking it up from
Yeah.
like the SD card and this and then they go on the ship.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, you're like, what am I looking at? This is like instead of looking at a simple bar going across, it's like Pikmin pick up your little icons and like just, I don't know, just stuff like
It
that.
felt like an experience. I
It was an
totally
experience.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Nintendo always has that kind of magic, and I wonder what little things there's going to be in the Switch 2, but I'm not expecting
Yeah.
I'm not expecting too much.
It would be nice if they're just like, hey, not everyone has Street Pass now, type of thing. Like we just enable Street Pass because this console would have been perfect for Street Pass. It just screamed. I mean, obviously the last one screamed out the same thing with the 3DS days,
Yep.
but like, come on, you could easily have straight. Like everyone's going to conventions now. Things are the new norm and everything. Just I want my like nice little notification. Just visit Nintendo booth. Like, thank you for visiting. Here's like a little notification or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We had to wait and see. I'm still excited. I don't want to like sound like I'm a Debbie Downer or anything. I'm obviously I got my where's the damn receipt? I have the receipt here somewhere. I got my receipt.
Keep it in a vault. What are you
I
doing?
got it right here. Oh,
Sammy.
don't worry about it. I got it right
I'm
here.
worried.
I got it right here.
All right.
I just realized it says EB Games. That was before they made that announcement. That's interesting.
Huh, you could have broken the news.
I had no idea, man. I don't pay attention to that. I was so Switch focused. I'm like, I got it.
I got the golden ticket.
I got the
golden
golden ticket.
bucket over here.
Then like, the whole Peter Griffin, run, Peter, run.
Yeah.
So what is, someone who is not having good news is our good friends at Bungie. So
an evergreen statement.
Yeah, they're not having a good time. First, they had a problem with copying someone's artwork and just blasting over the place and everything. Now, I have to also mention something here. I know, like using artwork and everything like that, like internally, placeholders. That's a norm. Like even people when I used to work at a photography studio, when we were like doing to get like the idea, like concept. We'll like even have like little cutouts. We have a vision board. Like have little like cutouts of like, okay, we want it to look like this type of thing, maybe this angle. That's normal. But obviously, when it's ready for public release, is when you have take all that stuff down because you need a nice little vision board. They didn't do that, so I don't know if did they make a. I mean, obviously they made an apology for it. I know they had a live stream. They were getting cooked. I remember I sent you guys a screenshot of the Discord, and it was just like. Plagiarism will make God. They'll make it like they're making like fun of their whole like tagline of like God will make something. I can't remember the proper tagline, but it was just like plagiarism will make God. I was like, oh, that's not looking good.
No.
And then apparently a former marathon leader, I guess, their engineer describes its leadership as extremely toxic and humiliating. The recent backlash of Bungie is upcoming for shooter marathon from stealing artwork from a freelance artist makes the game's future development even more vague. Developer tried to end a tragic situation by concluding it was behavior from former employees, which is not related to the existing team, and they had no idea how it happened. I don't know how you don't know. Like you should know where that artwork comes from. You know,
I
like
mean,
I don't I don't know. Go ahead.
I see it from two sides. I mean, like it's inexcusable at the end of the day. I totally agree and understand like your perspective on it, like coming in and having placeholders or using like a vision board and be like, this is the kind of the vibe we want for marathon. I
Yeah.
totally understand that. It still is up to, you know, top brass of the studio to like vet where certain assets are coming from and making sure like X, Y, or Z. From my perspective, I mean, like they even cite that it was like a former employee who put it in, and I have to imagine that yeah, someone brought it in, didn't really discuss it with the overall team. It kind of just got swept by the wayside and everything over, you know, the months or however long in development the marathon has been in, and then it just ended up being in the closed alpha. Again, not excusing any of it. It's a
Yeah.
huge oversight, and especially compounded by the fact that Bungie has been caught plagiarizing in the past before with Destiny. One of the guns was the design of one of the guns was taken from another artist, and so it's not something that, you know, has never happened with Bungie. So at this point, it is kind of like what's going on at the studio. Like you definitely need to take in the reins, have more control over your art team, and make sure that this doesn't happen. So while I can understand why this how we got here, I still
Yeah.
don't excuse it in any single way. My whole thing is that this graphical designer absolutely needs to get the bag for this. Make an example out of Bungie in any way
Hmm.
possible, because yeah, this thing sucks, and artists are already, you know, fighting tooth and nail to combat AI. We don't need to be fighting, you know, plagiarism woes between people. Like it's all of us versus the
We're already
goddamn
losing. We're already losing
computers.
against the machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, plagiarism sucks, whether it's, you know, art or the written word or really anything out there, movies, film, and stuff like that, or even just ideas. Yeah, I think that yeah, there has to be checks and balances in place for all of this stuff. And it just really sucks because
Mhm.
Bungie used to be such a prolific studio. They used to have so much great reputation. It just feels like you said, every few months now we're just talking about Bungie, and it's usually not in a good way.
Man, I wonder if just Sony just sitting there being like, why did we buy these guys? Because it's every day it's something new with them. Like this engineer was saying that he was also basically explained that the environment was very toxic, and when the engineer left a couple years ago after the studio fired some employees at the end of 2023, he discussed for his reason on Twitter that no longer exists, straightforwardly saying that the leadership is the worst have ever worked with. He added. Every day was a fight for autonomy and trust. Every day was someone telling me I'm not allowed to speak on any issues or problems in a professional tone. So
Yeah.
you're not even allowed to like, hey, there's a problem. That's too bad. Like that's like just shut down right away. Like it's wild. It's absolutely wild. So now like what like is Bungie gonna survive here? Like what's happening here? Like are people excited to did you try it out first of
I
all? I
was going
guess
to ask you the same
yeah.
question. I think that's a really great jumping off point for this
Yeah.
conversation. So I played it
Mhm.
for I would say like 3-4 hours maybe.
Okay.
No more than that though. And it's interesting because extraction shooters, not really too familiar with them. I've never
Mhm.
played Tarkov. I think like the extent of my career in extraction shooters is Rainbow Six Extraction and probably The Division.
Yeah.
Those are the two that really come to mind, and both of them I've had fun with. I mean, more so The Division. I really love The Division, and the Dark Zone's really fun.
Same. Oh, the Dark Souls was so good.
It's so much
You
fun.
just, you just unlocked that. I was like, oh yeah, the Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Rainbow Six Extraction, I think I had fun with it for a couple weeks and then kind of just put it down. It didn't really have a lasting effect. So coming into Marathon, I love the art style. I think that's the big thing. I mean, yeah, we're just talking about,
Whoops.
I know how ironic that sounds. I just thought that like the vibrancy, what they were trying to go for, it all fits so well mixed in with what Bungie is known for, that kind of like hyper vibrancy, and they just do art very, very well. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, I really liked it from that perspective. The gameplay itself, I think, was like adequate enough. I played a couple, like a handful of rounds, probably like 6 or 7 rounds with a good friend. Had an absolutely great time. Like it was just all great vibes, laughs, and everything. Didn't take it all too seriously. Kind of
Yep.
just getting our feet wet, and just kind of like just yucking it up the entire time. But I don't think that Marathon, especially in a closed alpha, didn't really demo all that well. Like the gameplay was really cool. I kind of started getting acclimated to the gameplay loop and the systems and everything, but it's one of those games that, kind of like any multiplayer game nowadays, it's so hard to feel ownership over what's happening in that closed beta, especially when the crux of the game is go out, get new resources like a new gun, new
Yeah.
currency and stuff like that, and care about it, because at the end of the day, none of this is carrying over. So by the time
Yeah.
we got to around where we were just getting our teeth kicked in, I think one of the I think we came across a different team, right? And just wiped us out, lost all our weapons over the course of 3 hours or whatever. And then it just came to, it was like, okay, well,
All right.
I
Yeah.
have no incentive to go back and grind for better loot, grind for more health
Yeah.
packs and shields and upgrades and stuff like that, because none of this matters, because it's
No,
just
it didn't.
closed alpha, and I'm carrying none of this over to like within like my like the longevity of this game moving forward. So
Yeah.
I ended up putting it away, but I got a good enough taste out of it to know that I'll probably end up trying it when it comes out. But again, I don't know if extraction shooters are really my online shooter or game of choice, the subgenre of a first person shooter.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you end up playing it?
Yeah, so for me, I actually played 16 hours of it. I had to look it up. I was like, how many hours did I play this game? I was playing with two of my friends. And it's best way for me to explain. It's literally I mean, this is not like a insult. It's like baby's first Tarkov in a
Mm,
way.
yeah.
And like it's a really good way to introduce you to like this abstraction universe.
Yeah.
Especially, or if or I guess like even like a better way if you wanted to like oh, I don't know, I want to try Tarkov. I would be like, okay, we'll try Marathon. It's kind of similar in a way. You're kind of doing the same thing, except that with like Tarkov is like really extreme. Like, if someone happened to shoot you, they'll take you like 5 minutes to like, all right, let me put this arm back together now, and like let me take my painkiller. It'll take you like 5 to 10 minutes just to heal one arm spot and everything. Where like in Marathon was just like, all right, you're good.
Yep.
Getting right back into vibes. I know it was more. For me, I kept running out of loot space because I just kept like, I want this, and my friends are like, just sell it. You're not like nothing's carrying over. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know. Like, what happened if like this one gold item that I have? They're like, oh, if you happen to collect this,
I know.
you told me to sell it for 1,500 credits. It wasn't worth it. You idiots, what are you doing? But like, I found it was more focused on the quest side of things. Like, okay, go and do this, and that's how kind of what Tarkov is in the same way. Like, yes, you are you could collect some stuff from people and everything, but your main things are doing the quest that you get, which is like from the sponsors, I guess, in the Marathon side of the game. And it's something like that. I was really enjoying it a lot. It was art style. I did like the art style. It did, for me, the art style did feel like it wasn't completed yet. It did seem like it was just like, hey, all right, this is just something that we have up and running. We will flush out the characters later on, the scenery around. It literally felt like I was running it like what it was, an alpha. Like there's some alphas I played, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's ready to go. Like, but this one was like, yeah, that's just like that's like Unreal Engine 5 box template number 7, like that's what it really felt like in a way. But like besides that, I've like the gunplay felt okay to me. The movement felt good as well. I know there was some hiccups here and there with like, oh, you lost like a friend, but they were able to jump back into the game easily.
Yep.
But I was it. I actually kind of enjoyed it a lot and everything. No, it's not something I'm like, oh, let me go play this game by myself and everything. It's just
That's the
maybe
big one.
like that's like I might do a couple hours. Maybe I'm like, oh, let me just try this. But like it didn't really be like, oh, let me go, like I gotta do my dailies today type of thing. Like it's more of a like, oh, Steve, what are you doing right now? You want to play some marathon? Okay, and then
Yeah, grind out a couple like
yeah,
sponsorship contracts and stuff like
yeah,
that. Maybe the one criticism, I hope
mhm,
that they address it. The slide in that game is just abysmal.
yeah.
I thought it was so
It
slow.
is.
I never used it. I
Yep,
thought it was so disappointing because I was hoping for something more like frenetic and fast, like Apex or even to a
yep.
lesser extent, maybe Call of Duty. But yeah, the slide was so disappointing.
Absolutely. I totally agree as well, especially with like the one character I was using. She only had like the ability to move faster than everyone.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you tried. Oh,
Yep.
like, it was only female character.
Yep.
She had like her ability is like kind of like a overheat, like overdrive type of thing, where she moves faster and everything like that. And even with that, like the sliding was just like that's it. Like there's no baseball slide, that's for sure.
Yep.
But besides that, I don't know. I really enjoy the game here. It seemed like it was stuff was missing, and obviously it's an alpha. They just want you to test out the main things. I'm sure they had a ton of stuff ready to go when the game's they'll have a ton of stuff ready to go when the game's launching, but it's still needed some more something flushed out. I don't know. It's missing something. I feel like that's the best way that I can put it. So, but yeah, I don't know. But hopefully, I don't know when they're planning to even launch this game. That's another thing. Maybe it might get a delay with everything that's going on.
That's
So,
the thing. We really don't know whether or not all of this new news is going to really affect the launch. And then it goes back to your original question of
mhm,
what is the state of Bungie now? I
yeah,
think a lot is certainly riding on Marathon success. I think it's going to ride a lot on what Marathon does in the foreseeable future, whether or not this is like a long-term investment for PlayStation and Bungie. But I'm kind of worried because yeah, to your original point, PlayStation, use a
there's
lot of
that quote.
money,
They did.
spend billions with a B on Bungie, and I think it was sadly a poor investment on their part. I think they kind of got swindled. Um, Bungie has kind of just been on this downward slope for so long. Even before Marathon, like even in the throes of Destiny 2, has just been it just hasn't panned out the way that they wanted it to, and I feel like the 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 seeds are already being laid for what I think is going to end up happening to Bungie, and that we got the announcement that Team LFG, um, team let's friends get together or whatever it
Yeah,
was called.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
They're being spun out to create their own MOBA. They were reportedly working on Project Gummy Bear, which was a Bungie made game, long rumored and everything, but they were
Yep.
being broken out into their own studio, being handled separately and everything. And I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen to Bungie. Is that I and it sucks to say because Bungie holds such a near and dear place in my heart with Halo and everything, but or even the original Destiny. But I feel like Bungie's days are pretty numbered.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but I think that Marathon might come out and it might be treated almost like a Concord situation where
That's what I was
depending
gonna
on
ask you.
how it performs, like
Is this gonna be longer than Marathon, or is
I
give
feel like
Marathon a run for its money?
Concord was almost comically taken off the market too
Yeah,
soon. That was so unprecedented.
still blows my
PlayStation
mind.
cannot afford another Concord on its record at this point. So I feel like Marathon has a pretty good shot of at least existing for a while longer.
'Cause
Now,
I assume they're selling this game. Like it's not a free to play.
oh, that's a great.
Oh, this
It's a
game has a release. I forgot
yeah.
they gave
This
us
is
a release date, the 23rd of September.
yeah. It definitely has a release date,
Oh
and
no.
it's not. It's wait. I don't know if they've confirmed. Yeah, presumably, quote, a full price title.
No shot.
Yeah.
You better make
Yeah,
this
yeah. So it's being
$40.
being positioned as quote a premium title for Bungie and PlayStation. So it could be within the realm of like $40 or yeah. So I'm seeing. Sorry, I'm going through some news here. Forbes is
No, that's
reporting
fine.
that
Yeah.
insiders claim that Bungie and Sony are looking at a $40 price point, which I think is pretty good.
Okay. All right.
You get a $40, price point. Maybe all the maps and everything and new modes are free, and then you just have a battle pass that you can invest in. I think that's
Something
that's pretty good.
I'll be okay. I'll be
Yeah,
okay with that.
I'm totally fine with that.
You don't
But
want to run the Concord thing was like what, $80?
no, it was 40 as well.
Oh,
yeah. So
never mind then.
because they were operating on the same logic as Helldivers.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, I feel like a lot is just kind of going to be weighing on the value proposition of Marathon.
I remember that now, especially how people were playing it. They're like, this should have just been a free to play game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether or not people think the same thing for Marathon, I don't really know, but time will tell. I mean, I'm going to be interested once like an open beta arrives for Marathon.
Yeah. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I mean, it was easy for everyone. I mean, it wasn't. Sorry, I can't say that was easy for everyone. I totally forgot it wasn't easy at all. The way it was up, people can't even get in. Like you had to. I was lucky enough to give some codes away, for Marathon. I totally forgot about that. And like it's only locked on to PlayStation and PC, right? It's not on. It wasn't on Xbox.
That's correct. That's correct. Yep. Even though I think it's coming to Xbox.
I will help them.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's coming to everything. So Xbox Series X and S, which makes sense. I feel like, that's just kind of how Bungie has been operating so far with Destiny and the new updates and everything, is just keeping it platform agnostic, getting as many players on to Marathon as possible. What I will think would be very interesting, and I know that you're huge into this, I wonder if in order to boost players, PlayStation would order out, like cut a check to get Marathon on Xbox Game Pass.
It could. I feel like that's kind of what they did with MLB for a couple of while. This was the first year MLB wasn't on Game Pass.
Yeah, that's totally correct. Yeah.
And it was like a big splash to like get people like, what, it's on here and everything. So that will help them out, honestly.
It could, yeah. Bring in a lot of goodwill from the play or the Xbox audience over.
Yeah, it's just that we need to see another round of Marathon and see what else they have in store. Because if it's just what we saw, then I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I'm done. That's only gonna last me a little while. Like I know, like for me, I play Marvel Rivals from time to time, but like I don't even like I'm not like everyday Marvel Rivals, and like because I'm just like, I could come back in a couple of days to do these tasks or these missions and everything.
Sure.
Whereas like because I've went through the whole Overwatch, Fortnite being like getting burnt out very quickly.
Yeah,
it's being like I don't even want to touch the game at this point now. Like so I'm just like I'm just a little sampling. All right, I'll come back later and everything. So only now I'm going back to Marvel Rivals back to back because the Wolverine event is happening. I'm like, I gotta let me just do this. I'm streaming anyway. But yeah. It'll be interesting. I don't know.
It will be, and I feel like it really does depend on what the game looks like at launch in September and what that roadmap's going to look like from September till December. I think that's really going to solidify what Marathon short-term projection is going to be for players, and whether or not PlayStation pulls the plug early. And I really hope not, because I want to see Bungie succeed. I want to see them really turn this stuff around. But man, is it hard. It's just really hard to see these news stories come out over and over again.
And do you think this plagiarism will also hurt them as well?
Well, I mean, they had that live stream recently.
Yeah.
And the chat were just blowing up. They had to take down all the gameplay just to obviously they didn't want any slips of plagiarized assets to appear on it and everything, which is great and makes sense. But people know at this point, like it is a much bigger story. It's hit the, the zeitgeist where it's not just, an insider only kind of, need to know about, but like
it's
people
not like a
know.
Jason Schreier heard this type of thing. You're like,
Exactly. Like the audience knows. I think the Bungie community is upset by it, obviously. So I feel like it's certainly like there's a lot of goodwill that Bungie needs to put into this game in order for it to succeed, and whether or not they're able to pull it off remains to be seen.
Yep. Steve, you're a huge Last of Us fan.
I am,
show wise as well.
Yeah.
Well, our good buddy, I know a good guy who works there, Neil Druckmann.
Mr. Druckmann.
Mr. Druckmann, yeah. He has confirmed that they are working on another game that is currently in development besides Intergalactic. Every time I hear Intergalactic, I just think of Beastie Boys. It's like,
true. Yeah.
Every time I hear that name, I'm like, how do you not have Beastie Boys busting the tune there? So Neil has confirmed that they're currently working on another game he's acting. And knowing that Neil's also acting as the producer role for this project as well. It has nothing to do with Intergalactic as well. Is this finally Last of Us Part 3?
Absolutely not. And that kind of makes me sad because that just kicks the can for part 3. But Neil coming out and just saying, he's only being a producer. Yeah, there's no way this is Last of Us because he would be writing, he would be directing this. So
do you think he has Part 3 ready to go? Like, some people just sits on it and be like, now's not the time.
Well, no, because I feel like he's been very forthcoming in the timeline of, having an idea, not being ready for it, and then Intergalactic gets announced, and then this project gets announced. I feel like he's being very candid and kind of trying to set the expectations of like, this game could be coming, but it's going to take a lot of time. So I really don't know what this project is going to be. The news of it doesn't really surprise me because even years ago, I think right after Last of Us Part 2 came out, they confirmed that there are now a 2-game studio, Naughty Dog is. So having Neil, direct and kind of lead the charge on Intergalactic. Intergalactic in and of itself is a very surprising game when it first got announced, but knowing that there's another game that is being handled by other studio producers and Matthew Gallant and Kurt Margino. Yeah, and with writer Claire Kerr.
I would have made that worse. So you did a lot better than me.
Thank you. So that project is being taken care of by that trio. I almost feel like it could be something to akin of like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, where it is kind of, or a Miles, something like that, where it is this kind of bite-sized 15-hour experience. I don't think that it's going to be a new huge tentpole game for the studio because I feel like that ultimately would probably go through Neil if I had to guess, but I don't know what it could be, what it would be, but I'm interested to hear more about it. But it was just kind of a letdown to hear see the headline of unannounced Naughty Dog game and then realize no, it's not going to be Last.
It's not. No, sorry.
Because even internally, like rumors right now indicate that Intergalactic might be looking at a late 2026 release date.
Oh, really?
Or 2027.
So where is this game going to fit then?
So it could come out earlier?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe, or it could come out, 2028, which then means, we're not looking at Last of Us Part 3 until
2030.
2031? Maybe?
They don't have enough. So are they just going to pause the show?
Well, that's the other thing, right?
I heard they don't want to do a whole what's it, the House of Dragon, where they were like, we're just gonna make up what happens at the end because they want to wait for the book to finish, right?
Right.
They don't want that to happen.
No.
That's what I heard.
No, so even so we already know that Last of Us the series is getting a season 3. They're shooting next year, presumably. Then we're gonna get season 3 in 2027.
Okay.
And then Craig Mazin did come out and just a few days ago when he said that he cannot foresee the entire story of Last of Us Part 2 being told by the end of season 3. And I think it was last episode that we were briefly talking about the series and the trajectory of it, and I theorized that a theoretical part 4 or season 4 could just take place in Santa Barbara, really expand on that aspect of the game, and that would give them some leeway into
2030.
It honestly would, because then, yeah, if we get season 3 in 2027, they shoot season 4 in 2028, season 4 comes out 2029, Last of Us Part 3 comes out in 2030. Maybe they take a year off, and then maybe we get season 5 of The Last of Us Part 3 in 2031, 2032. Who knows? But I think by them doing a season 4 does give Last of Us, or give Naughty Dog a little bit of a more leeway into creating this game and catching up with themselves. Because I feel like PlayStation would never let Naughty Dog go without making Last of Us Part 3. It's too big of an IP at this point. So whether or not you're looking at Intergalactic or looking at this new side project and everything, that's not going to be their ultimate focus. They are going to come back to The Last of Us, whether Neil wants to or not. PlayStation will give him the bag in order to make him do it. And then also,
we're not letting you go till you're 90.
Seriously, yeah, you're here till you're 90. Yeah, but also PlayStation Studios, like the Hollywood side, definitely wants Last of Us to go as long as possible, as long as it's profitable, as long as HBO and Warner Brothers Discovery wants to continue making it, because it's a critically acclaimed show as far as all things considered right now. So yeah, I don't think Last of Us is going anywhere. I think it's just going to take a lot of time and patience from fans.
This was a PS4 launch, right? That eventually remastered the PS5,
yeah,
right?
Part 2, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Just like Last of Us was a PS3 game that got remastered for PlayStation 4 and then PlayStation 5.
Part 3 could potentially or may not be. There'll be no basically I'm saying there could be no Last of Us like PS5 version, like launches on PS5.
Not an original game, no. Yeah. I assume that if we're under the assumption that PS6 comes out in 2027, maybe 2028, it would then be like a late console generation game, maybe even
like crossover, maybe.
Oh, I don't. I don't think PlayStation 5 would be supported by then, but who knows? You know what trends look like in 6 years from now.
A lot of things has changed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They could be like, hey, the console that we were planning, it got pushed back now because of
that too. Yeah,
everything, right? So, even with, I'm even wondering with Xbox, with their current console or handhelds coming out and their revision of the Xbox or whatever, like everything was to be 2 years from now. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting, this gaming world now. So. Just have to wait and see, especially that we have Switch coming out June 5th, followed by 2 days later Summer Game Fest. No one's gonna be I can review anything. This is gonna be insane.
I don't know. That's why I'm happy I'm not going to Summer Game Fest. I'm just gonna be kicking in Mario Kart World.
There's but like, you can take it with you anywhere. Nintendo knew, they're like, just bring it to Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, exactly. The day before you leave.
Yeah,
get your Switch too.
Jesus Christ, that's insane. That's crazy. Well, besides that, anything else going on for you for the rest of the week?
No, nothing really. I mean, like we kind of just talked about, we're on the countdown for Summer Game Fest, countdown for Switch 2. I'm just very excited for all of this. We're in the throes of summer, so it feels like a lot is going on. I'm thinking now is the best time. It has been a
quiet part of the gaming part, which is wild. It's just been 2 weeks of quiet.
It has been. And now that I'm completely done with Doom the Dark Ages, got all the achievements, packing that game away, I think now is a great time to just kind of start going back to Death Stranding. I feel like now it's time for homework, go through the game again, get through it. That way I can probably at least give myself a couple of weeks before Death Stranding 2 comes out, because I definitely don't want to get into the position where it's like, boom, roll credits on Death Stranding, and then I get my Death Stranding 2 code. And it's like, oh man, now I regret doing all of this. Like,
now you're
too much walking.
Yeah, a lot of walking.
Yeah, so I feel like now's the best time. Maybe bang it out in a couple of weeks, get myself there right before Switch 2 launches, and then that'll kind of coast me into Death Stranding 2.
Out of curiosity, have you heard of Mind's Eye?
Mind's Eye. No. What is this?
Yeah, is I think they are using that or someone they're tied into that whole like everywhere developer or game everywhere where like it's anyone can just make a game very easily. Um,
Oh, yes. Okay.
and apparently this game's supposed to be coming out in 21 days, and we only had one trailer that just showed a bunch of explosions, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I don't know, this is ready yet. So,
Probably
um,
not.
it's a very, I don't games like this is like I feel like it's giving me this game's giving me vibes of it wasn't Days Gone, but close the last day was it or the day before.
The day before. Yes.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
what
yeah.
this one. Yeah, this is what this one's giving me vibes of.
This game gave me vibes of, hey, here's a really cool tech demo. We'll see you
Yeah,
next.
and that's what days before because you're like, oh, this
Yep.
looks amazing. Then the game came up, you were like, what is this? You know
Yeah.
what?
No, totally. Yeah, I completely forgot about this game, even though it piqued my interest when I first saw it.
Yep, and yeah, same here as well. And they've had I can't remember who is like tied to this game as well, but he's oh, I think he used to be like a former Roxy. He worked on all the GTAs except for this current one that's coming out. So, someone really well known. I can't find his name, but I don't know. It's just interesting. I was like, have you heard anything about this?
Yeah, no.
Because I haven't heard anything about this game. No one has previewed it or nothing like that. So I know Gaming Bolt came up with something out there like what is happening with this game and nothing yet.
Maybe
So,
nothing.
maybe not. Maybe it's nothing. You're right. It can be absolutely nothing. So, uh, but yeah. Besides that, for me, I'm still doing my charity. I have 11 days left. We just hit 8,000. Really happy. Really proud of my community. Absolutely crazy. To
Good
see that
stuff.
amount. Sometimes people will just be like, "Yeah, here's $500." I'm like, who are you? Who's this person right here? But I've been playing, like I said, I'm playing some Marvel Rivals now. I still have a buttload of games. I'm doing another rerun of Doom because it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Just sometimes you're just
It's
like,
such
man,
a good game.
let me just punch something, and
Yep.
just Doom and it's a good punching game. But yeah, besides that, we'll see you all here next week. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.